Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Staples Picks. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this one's not gonna be having the same format that I usually have of being positive, telling you guys stories that you've not heard about. And this is gonna be very different because this is on a very relevant topic. I'm gonna be talking about the European Premier League, like all the YouTubers are. I know, I understand. But here's why I have a say in this. Now, already off the bat, before anything starts, you guys may be thinking that I am a bit hypocritical as I do support Chelsea and they are owned by one of the richest owners in football in Roman Abramovich, who I will literally love daily because not because of the money he shoved into the club, but because he saved the club. Not because of him constantly putting in money to sign, I don't know, Scott Sinclair or some person. We can literally sign anyone, and that's a fact. However, I'm more impressed by the fact that he saved us from the brink of extinction under Ken Bates, and we could currently right now be playing #United, but no, we are competing in the top of the Prem. And I think I have a good say in this is because I've seen the effects of what a sort of European Premier League can do, and I'm gonna get into that. But yeah, I'm gonna go straight into the topic, which I think you can already say I don't like. I passionately dislike it, so I'm gonna get into the exact reasons why. This is gonna be more of a rant rather than a Staples Speaks, but bear with me, this is something I feel I have to do. Let's get on with the video. Now, let me start. Why am I in the right position to talk about this? Because I have already seen the effects of a European Premier League. Now, I think how I'm going to compare this is I am going to be comparing Indian football and European football. And I understand your concerns because I am comparing a national football to a whole continent. But I think I have points here that need to be brought up in terms of a European Premier League or stuff like that. Now, one of the main points of the people who support the European Premier League is that it will improve local team support because people will feel more disconnected with the clubs and they will just go on to their local teams. First thing, it's not that easy, especially for someone like me. I love my club of Chelsea. I am immersed in it, and I don't think any amount of money or anything will make me fully disconnect from the club, because it's just something that's been built in me, staying up until 12:30 in the morning to watch us lose 3-0 to Southampton. It's just one of those things which is in me. However, I do see where they do come from, because they're like, oh, you'll start seeing that the money is ruling them, and now you look towards more normal and more rooted football. Well, let me give the example of India, because I live in Pune. Pune does not have any professional football teams. They've had 3 over the past 10 years. All of them dissolved due to financial problems. In fact, Pune is considered as a city of curse. It's a cursed city. You do not want to set up a football team in Pune. And I know that because the school I go to is owned by the group who used to own one of those 3 football teams, Bharat FC. They used to own them. And I know what it could be like. I've looked enough for local teams. However, I just have to watch the big boys in the ISL continue on. I understand how hypocritical I sound, but there's a reason why I only really started supporting Chelsea around about 2016, 2017. I was a fan from like 2012, 2013. I've been a fan since then. But I only really started getting into the club once Pune FC and Bharat FC dissolved and FC Pune City were moving further away from their fans. Now, let me give this example of the ISL. So the ISL was started as a private league. I know this because I've been literally saying this for the past 6 months. In fact, I think I read more about Indian football than I do European. and it's just because it's stories like these I can bring to Western audiences that maybe are not known. So the ISL, the Indian Super League, was started as a private league by Hero, and it was basically going to be an alternative to the I League. Note the words alternative, not replacement, alternative. And it started out pretty well, in fact, because they were pandering to their fans. It wasn't that they were caring about the money that was spent in the clubs, rather they were caring about how much fan investment they can get, and it was fun for the first few seasons. Now, after these first few seasons, the AIFF starts getting involved. Now, All Indian Football Federation. When you have headlines like, should the AIFF own Indian football, pop up on a near daily basis, you know you've done something wrong. And the AIFF owned the I League, which is the National Football League in India, and it is the historic league. Now, obviously, it was only started in the 90s, but this was the continuation of all the football leagues that have been there since British times. And the I League was returned not in the form of a franchise league like the MLS was trying to get into at that time. No, this was more a proper football league, and it was a success. The I League has been continuing since. However, we get around the 2016-2017 season, around that time, the AIFF starts seeing a much bigger market in the ISL, because obviously more fans are there. So, in 2018, they cut the broadcasting rights of their own football league just so that they could manage the ISL, when even today they have absolutely no right to own any of it since it's a private league. This is what possibly is my biggest fear of the European Premier League, is that it is going to root all these football federations to look towards the bigger audience, because once the big teams leave, the big six, they are obviously gonna have to have Crystal Palace, Fulham. Like, obviously these teams are in the Prem, but they're not the biggest game in town. Imagine on one day, Chelsea and Barcelona are playing in Stamford Bridge, while on literally 9 miles down the road, Fulham is playing Crystal Palace in a relegation battle for the ages. It's literally last game of the season. They need 1 point. Each team needs 1 point to survive. But everyone's going to want to watch Chelsea versus Barcelona, which probably has nothing on the line. And that's going to make these football federations go, wait, why are we investing in these guys? That's more money. There's the money. We need to go for that. I understand that, yes, football is a money game. And I don't care anymore, because I knew it was going to happen once the Premier League even started. It was started as a main way for these investors to shovel in more money into the football teams. And I am totally fine with that, because that's the natural progression. But you get a point where the European Premier League is going to be the only ruling body, and that's it. It's going to be European Premier League, everything else. That's my biggest fear out of all of this, is that's going to make leagues redundant, because obviously in these ones they'll have nothing on the line and they're just gonna play big matches, which is gonna ruin the fixtures. But that's a point that's brought up by many people. I'll give another example. Now, this new ISL season will go down as possibly the most controversial one, because East Bengal, one of the oldest clubs in India, one of the most prestigious clubs in India, a club which is rooted into Indian tradition, and it depicts the struggles the nation had to go through. Just to give you a bit of an example, currently their manager is Robbie Fowler, so that's maybe what the Western audience will know. However, they were bought and they were rebranded. They have the same crest, they have the same kit, but it's not the same club. This is the club that in 1920 was started in 1920, and in 1930 fans of the East Bengal club were protesting with Mahatma Gandhi's satyagraha just so that they could get promotion into the leagues where all the British teams were competing. And it worked. And since then, you will see a torch on the East Bengal crest, which depicts the protests and the struggles the fans had to go through, which have now been made redundant because of a person shoveling money into the club. Just to give you a bit of an example, another example for how big the divide is between the I League and the ISL. Despite in functionality the I League being more prestigious, the I League's record transfer is 7 crore, which is around about £700,000. That won't buy you Saeed bin Ramha's left stud. And why meanwhile in the ISL 53 crore is just being thrown around for players who won't even start for franchises. And I think the biggest sacrifice out of them all has been Mohan Bagan. Mohan Bagan is literally India's equivalent of your Manchester Uniteds or your Liverpools. A team so prestigious, they're kept in the upper echelon of people. This club was formed in 1889 by all Indians. 1889. This club is older than West Ham and Chelsea, my club. And it's a prestigious club rooted in its local feel. At least it was. In fact, it's also in the 1911 IFA Shield, which was at the time the biggest competition you could ever compete in India. The IFA Shield. Mohan Bagan became the first Indian team to beat a British team in the Royal Navy for the IFA Shield. They became images of Indian freedom. They beat Ararat Yerevan to win the IFA Shield in 1978 and became the first Indian team to win the IFA Shield against a foreign team. And Yerevan at this time were in the Soviet Union. And also, just to give you an idea on how prestigious the club is, Bayern Munich's Oliver Kahn played his testimonial match with Bayern Munich against Mohan Bagan. Now, obviously, it's just an absolute myth. It's a legend. They are the image of Indian football. And now, Atletico de Kolkata, the team that is sponsored by Atletico Madrid, or used to be, have just bought their name. It's again, the crest is the same. The kits are not. But again, I understand. But they single-handedly killed the most prestigious club in India just because they could. And that's my main fear for the European Premier League, is that it will sacrifice whatever prestigious team that is there for their own good. Another thing is that I've not even talked about this because this is the main point I need to bring up. The ISL and the I League have no promotion or relegation system. Yet how these teams are getting into them is because the ISL sees teams that do well in the I League and just brings them up under the new names. We see Real Kashmir being drafted in and changed and being part of Atletico de Kolkata. FC Bangalore coming straight in after the AFC Cup semi-finals, which they got through only through the I-League to play in the ISL. I-League players deciding to split the league just because there in the ISL they can get more recognition. Not because of the money, because there are no broadcasting rights of the I-League anymore. You see names like Eugene Lingdo, Jackie Chan Singh, and the biggest of all, Sunil Chhetri, moving to the ISL just because I-League no longer is being broadcasted. This is my fear of what will happen with clubs like Everton and West Ham. Clubs which are rooted and have such rich history are just going to be brought up and turned into franchises. And also, it's just a shame that clubs like Minerva Punjab, Dempo, these are teams that have legit won huge trophies. Dempo has won more I-Leagues than anyone, and now they're just being treated like a second tier team. And I think this is my main fear with the European Premier League, is that it will make historic achievement redundant and only rewarding the rich for being rich, and almost making all the trophies they won in the 90s and the 30s and anything before the 20th century useless. And that's where we get to the outro. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked, please like, share and subscribe. If you are new to the channel, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I hope you liked the video. But anyway, until the next video, peace.